Good evening, everybody. We're going to start tonight with a public hearing, so I need a motion to open up a public hearing to discuss the district-wide safety plan. Motion by Rob, second by Dennis. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. At this point, we'll turn it over to Pat Daniels, who's going to take us through our district-wide safety plan.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Patrick Daniels. I'm the Assistant Director for Safety and Security. There's nothing more important than the safety and the well-being of our students and staff. In a world where emergencies can arise at any time, having a strong, proactive safety plan isn't just important, it's essential. The plan is not only a legal requirement under New York State SAVE legislation, it is also a living strategy designed to prepare, protect, and support our school community. I'm going to give a quick overview of why this plan exists and how it's structured. The district-wide school safety plan is mandated by New York's Project SAVE, covering risk reduction, emergency response, and recovery. Superintendent and teams. The Chief Emergency Officer. The superintendent oversees coordination drills, staff training, and plans updates. District-wide safety team includes administrators, teachers, safety personnel, and parents meeting regularly for threat assessments, audits, and training recommendations. Building level emergency response teams handle immediate incidents within each school, reporting up the chain. Prevention and risk reduction, early detection via incident logs, peer mediation, mental health referrals. Security measures, coordination with law enforcement. Example of that is the Suffolk County Police Department SAVE hotline. Hall monitors, door hardening, and upgrades funded through recent budgets, which include installation of license plate readers at all of our schools, 500 cameras that were either replaced or purchased. 300 radios have been purchased and distributed. Coordination with the Suffolk County Police Department with canine security sweeps. Scheduling of bag checks and searches. The Security Command Center, we've continued to upgrade it. The training annual drills, evacuation, lockdowns, shelter in place, nonviolent conflict resolutions, and violence prevention sessions. Emergency response protocols, comprehensive response options, lockdown, lockout, shelter in place, evacuation, early dismissal and cancellations, established chain of command. Protocols include bomb threats, intrusion, hostage situations, kidnapping, actual or implied threats. Communication with local authorities, parents, staff, mental health support post-incident. Recovery and post-incident support. After an incident, building level teams evaluate emotional impact and coordinate mental health services. District implements the Employee Assistance Program, also known as EAP, for staff and continuity of operations. In conclusion, the Sachem School District Safety Plan is more than just a policy document. It is a comprehensive, evolving framework that puts the safety of students and staff at the forefront of everything we do. From prevention and preparedness to response and recovery, every piece of this plan is designed with one goal in mind: creating a safe, supportive learning environment for all. Through regular training and coordination with law enforcement and input from our community, we remain proactive and ready. Together, we can ensure that our schools remain places where students not only learn, but thrive safely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pat. Any questions from the board? Comments? Okay. Great. Just for the community to know, the safety plan will be available for the next 30 days for public comment, and it'll be adopted later in August by the board. Okay. If there's no other questions, we'll, oh, yes, please.
For the girls' softball, they get a banner. You know, they got to pay for it. Everybody in school.
Banner.
Just to make it easy, like, a lot of cookie pieces.
So I think we're gonna transition to the regular meeting in about 10 minutes.
Okay.
And if you just speak with Ms. Florio, she'll give you a card, and we'll give you 3 minutes to come up and speak. Is that fair? Okay. Great. So at this time, I'd like to get a motion to close the public hearing. Motion by Sabrina, second by Jessica. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. We're going to resume at 6 o'clock with our regular scheduled board meeting.
I'm sure he was an honor, but I wouldn't be surprised if the other topic comes up.
This meeting is called to order. Welcome to the July 23rd regular meeting of the Board of Education. At this time, I'd like to ask everybody to stand for the pledge and remain standing for our traditional moment of silence. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to turn over the agenda to Mrs. Trombetta for the superintendent's report.
Good evening, everybody. I hope everyone's having a wonderful summer so far. I know it's flying by. But tonight we're going to recognize a couple very special athletes. So I'm going to ask Mr. Vitale and Mr. Terragrasso to come up.
Thank you. I like summer. This is good. Well, good evening, Board of Education President Reynolds and members of our Board of Education, Superintendent Trombetta, and members of the Cabinet. Tonight, we're here to recognize our station's talented student athletes and coaches from the 2025 spring season. This spring, once again, we have many teams and individuals advanced well into the postseason. And also, once again, not only did they receive their accolades, but we were also, every team in Sachem was recognized as a scholar athlete team. That deserves a round of applause right there in itself. The first coach I want to talk about is Greg Bosch. Unfortunately, he had a family commitment and couldn't be here tonight, but I think it's still deserving. Greg, in his first year as a Sachem East girls flag football coach, was recognized as a New York Jets Coach of the Week. Himself and Mr. Wojciechowski brought the team to the county finals. The girls were in the county finals. It went to double overtime. They beat the 1, the 4, and the 8 seed to get there. We know the result, and the double overtime didn't go on, but a great accomplishment for that team, those girls, and Mr. Bosch there. So a round of applause for them, please. Next, I'm going to go up. I'd just like to bring up our Sachem North softball coaches, Ken Sasso and Jackie Messina, and the athletes that are here tonight. Did you just stand in the middle? You didn't know this was coming. But I wanted to bring them up because not only was the team league champions this year, League Two champions with a 15-3 record, and made it to the county championship and lost to a grueling game to Riverhead, who then went on to the Long Island championship but fell short to Massapequa. This group, over the last 4 years, was recognized 3 years as a league champion, and that in itself deserves a nice round of applause there. So I'd just like to recognize them with a nice picture. Wait. Take one with them first. Yeah. Yeah, they will at the end. I'm going to call them all up. Yep. All right, now for our student athletes. As I said in the beginning, a lot of our teams did well in the postseason. They carried on, a lot of individuals, a lot of first-time things that happened there for a couple of them. Receiving all county honors, Long Island honors, all state honors, things like that. I'm going to go through the list and call them up. I'm going to name all the student athletes as do here, as they've been coming in a little bit here and there. So we're going to just go through the list. Sachem East Baseball, Dante Allegre, academic all county. Baseball, Jake King, all league, all county. Sachem East boys lacrosse, Christopher Freckes, all county, all academic, all American. Dominic Laviano, all county. Sachem East girls lacrosse, Kayla Richter, all county. Haley Slavin, all county. Julia Voss, all county. From Sachem East softball, Zaramira Lurana, all county. From Sachem East boys track, Michael Armendinger, all county in the 4x100. Dylan Butler, all county in the 4x100. Joseph Christie, all county in the 100-meter dash and the 4x100. And Emmanuel Rosado, all county in the 4x100. In girls track, Sachem East girls track, Abigail Erickson, all league, all county. Bella Gallus, all league, all county, all section 11, Newsday, all Long Island, track and field, all state. Cameron Goodman, all league, all county. Shauna Lightel, all league, all county, all section 11, all state. Gianna Mori, all league, all county, all section 11, Newsday, all Long Island, track and field team. Alexa, you can clap. Alexa Neves, all county. Adriana Roa, all league, all county, all section 11, all state. Serafina Scavo, academic, all county, all league, section 11 sportsmanship award, all county, all section 11, all state. Juliana Wadawa, academic, all county, all league, all county, all section 11. Gianna Mori, once again, all league, all county, all section 11, Newsday, all Long Island track and field team. Sachem East girls flag football, Sophia Lurera, all county, all Long Island second team, third team, all New York State. Alexa Marchese, all county. Samantha Margolis, academic, all county. On to Sachem North, baseball, Joe Capice, academic, all county. Ryan Palm, all league, all county, second team, all Long Island. Matt Podesta, all league, all county, Golden Glove catcher for Suffolk County. Boys lacrosse, that's Sachem North, John Calabria, all division, all county. Stephen Castellano, all division, all county. Dylan Holleran, all division, honorable mention, all county. Luke LaRocca, all division, all county. John Licata, all division, honorable mention, all county. Girls lacrosse, Alyssa Leonardi, unsung hero for League One. Addison Pittman, all county. Leah Rowett, all county. Alyssa Tappan, all county. Sachem North softball, Danielle Brennan, all county, League Two pitcher of the year, all state third team. Brooke Giordano, all county. Delaney Mathis, all county, all Long Island second team, all state fifth team. Boys track, Ryan Medina, academic, all county, all league in the 1600. Girls track at Sachem North. Janae Codwell Sims, all league, all county shot put, all state in the shot put, sixth place. Jordan Cruz, academic, all county, all league, all division. Marie Manot, academic, all county, all league, all division. Lara Verbenak, all division, all league, all county in the high jump and long jump. Sachem North girls flag football, Reagan Grow, all county. Haley Zambrisky, academic, all county. From our combined teams, girls golf, Cassie Conlon, all league, all county. Vanessa Fischel, all county. Hannah Harvey, All-League, All-County Honorable Mention. From our boys tennis team, Kyle Finnegan, All-County. Leonardo Villacrest was our sectional 11 League 3 champion as an individual. He was all-league second team, and he traveled to the New York State tennis tournament in Flushing, where he placed there. And honestly, I can't remember the last time a tennis player went to the state tournament. So he's not here, but a nice round of applause for him. And Louise Villacrest, All-County. Nice round of applause for all the recipients for the 2025 spring season. If there are any coaches in attendance tonight, please join us. Stick in the summer gear.
All the seniors going to college, good luck. Have fun. All you. You're the reason. All you.
Okay, let me go get my phone.
Yes, let's get married. Yeah.
Why are you sitting down? Why are you sitting down?
Yep. Many of you know, we have hired a demographer to take a look at our district with the possibility of school closures for the following school year. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Ross Haber. He's going to be joining us via Zoom. He's the consultant that we hired, and he's going to give us an update. And we're going to continue to give updates every board meeting from him, so that way the community is informed and knows the progress we are making.
Anybody have his?
Mrs. Sarakis is getting in touch with him right now.
Yes, can you hear me? Speak as loud as you can. Hello?
Yes, hi, can you hear us now? Ross? Ross, can you hear us? Yeah, that's.
Hello?
Can you hear us now?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Then I guess we're communicating.
Okay, we have the slideshow up if you wanted to start your presentation.
Okay, I'd like to be able to see it also.
We don't have that capability, unfortunately.
Okay, then I will just open it up on my own. Well, I will open it up on my own, okay? And what if I share with you? Would that work better?
No, because we are live streaming on YouTube, so we don't have that ability at the moment.
Okay, so this can be a little clunky, but let me give it a try, right? First of all, who am I speaking to?
The entire board and everyone on YouTube.
Okay. Okay, so just give me a minute so I can bring my presentation up. Okay, so it's wait. All right. So, not seeing anybody is just a tad uncomfortable, but I'll try and make it through. Okay, so I'm going to this presentation. It's a brief presentation to kind of tell you what the current status of the project is, how we're going to get to our goal of having a final report by December of 2025, and what steps we've accomplished and what we're doing to move forward, and also to get a sense of what the whole project is about. So right now I'm looking at just the title page. So I want to move to the next page, which is project scope review.
Okay.
Okay. So what we're doing here is this is the scope of the project, the generalized overall picture. First of all, we're doing an updated enrollment projection and demographic study to provide both a 5 and a 10-year overview of student enrollment. So we want to see what each year is going to bring, what the numbers of kids are, which way is the enrollment going, is it continuing a precipitous decline, is it leveling up, leveling out a little bit, will it reverse at any time over the next 5 to 10 years? Okay. Then what we want to do is once we do these projections, we want to incorporate the findings of the projections into the existing current school facilities in order to determine current utilization. So in other words, what we want to do is we want to take the current school enrollments in the number of sections in each elementary school building, take a look at what the average class sizes are, and then take those projections and move them over the next 5 years to see how many classrooms you'll need, how many additional instructional spaces you'll need. We'll be able to make sure there's equity in every building, that every building accommodates students with things like art, music, and things like that, that make sure that we have adequate space to service special needs children, both mainstreamed and self-contained. So that'll give us a picture of what the district's going to look like over the next 5 years. And then from that, as we take a look at the enrollments in the different areas, we'll determine and make and discuss with you if it's feasible for the Sachem Central School District to close one or more schools based upon the current school utilization and the impact of further decline in enrollment. So we want to see over these next 5 to 10 years, the schools equalize, or some schools over subscribed to, or some schools under enrolled. We don't know that yet because we haven't done that yet. But that's the thrust of the project, is to determine where your population is, how it's student enrollment, not population, student enrollment is, what the growth or decline in any of the specific areas are, and how they're going to impact schools over the next 5 to 10 years. So can we go to the next? Okay. So next slide, we're supposed to about our expected incomes. Okay, outcomes, expected outcomes. First of all, as I said, we're doing a 10-year projection of enrollment by grades and by grade for the whole district and by building. We're going to take a look at the analysis of cohort migrations across the grades. In other words, to find out what kind of movement there is in the district of students. Where there's growth, where there's change, where there's transfer. With that, again, we'll review the school capacity and make recommendations for any revisions in school inventory. When I talk about school inventory, I'm talking about instructional space. And then take a look at the attendance zones, and take a look if we can balance enrollments better by moving attendance zones, changing attendance zones, and maybe even experimenting with some sort of grade level analysis. In other words, is the current K-5 plan the most efficient plan in terms of your building space, or are there other plans, for example, like a Princeton plan, like paired schools? Again, don't know that because that's why we're doing the study. So those are kind of the overviews of that, of our expected outcomes. And here's our approach, okay? to the project. This is kind of gives you an insight as to how we do this. Okay, the study is going to use a combination of changes in enrollment with external factors that will include student counts. For example, we'll project kindergarten by taking a look at the number of births attributed to the Sachem School District. In the state of New York, the Department of Health tracks births not by town or community, it tracks births by school district. So that gives us a good picture of what's happening in terms of your pre-kindergarten enrollments. Okay, the projections are calculated by, projections are created by calculating the average difference between birth and children entering kindergarten 5 years later. So in other words, if 500 children are born in a given year accredited to the Sachem School District, and 400 actually attend kindergarten out of that, that's kind of a 0.8 average growth in kindergarten. And we do that over a 6-year period to get a reasonable average. And then grade level projections are based upon 6 years of enrollment as children move from grade to grade. And the average difference over those 6 years is the multiplier projection. So in other words, let's say there were 100 students, an average of there are 100 students in grade 1. And when these same cohorts, these same students get to grade 2, there's 110 students. So that's a 10% increase over that period of years. Of course, conversely, it could be the other way. If you have 100 kids in a grade and they drop to 80 the following years, that's a decline of 20%. So again, we do those averages so we get a good picture of what grade level changes are. And this is a very standard enrollment projection process. It's called the cohort survival method. It's the method that is approved by the state education department when presenting to them if for some reason you need to present your projections. Okay, and these values calculate the projections moving forward. Then we're going to match these enrollments that we come up with by school to the capacity in the buildings to determine whether there are specific schools that are underutilized and conversely those that may be overutilized. And then following the determination of school utilization, school boundaries will be revised and recommended revisions to reflect efficient, effective, and equitable school use. And some of the things we look at equity, of course, are program equity. If a program exists in school 1, it should exist in all schools. For example, like art and music. No school should have art in a cart, while another school has an art classroom. Again, don't know what exists with that, but that's why we're studying the district. The other thing too is their equity in terms of average class size. Are there huge discrepancies in class size? Does one school average? I'm making these numbers up. So let's be clear that I'm making these up just to kind of give you the examples. So does one school have an average class size of 25, while another one has an average class size of 18? That may be viewed as not equitable, and we want to see what we can do to even those numbers out, to get them as close between schools as possible. And that has to do, again, with how we look at boundaries, how we take a look at which schools remain open, or if it's feasible to close any schools, how will it affect class size, how will it affect programs and instructional opportunities given to the students of the district. So that's kind of our proposed approach. Now, the next slide, sample school analysis. This is kind of giving you one sample of the analysis that we make. So what you're looking at on the screen is the current Winona Elementary School attendance zone, the existing one. The little dots that you see on the screen, the little pins you see on the school, those are the 24-25 students, K-5 students that exist in that zone. And so we want to find out in that zone, how many kids actually go to Winona and how many kids live in the Winona attendance zone but attend another school. So if you look at the little box on the lower right-hand corner, it shows you that in that attendance zone, there are currently 226 children who live in that zone who attend Winona. The other numbers you're seeing, like Tioga with 2, and Chippewa with 2, Grundy with 6, Hiawatha with 7, Merrimack with 2, and Nokomis with 7. Now, we don't know at this point why that exists. It could very well be programmatic. For example, some of these children may leave the Winona attendance zone for special needs programs that don't exist in Winona, but exist in another school. So we need to make the determination who of mainstream students and gen ed students are appropriately in the schools, and who in the area may be going out to another district for a special program. And it also helps determine what the optimum location for district-wide programs should be. So, for example, if maybe you have 2 kids with a classification of autism in Winona and 12 kids in another school, the program may be located in another location. Again, these are the kinds of things that we're going to do an analysis of. So those are, okay, the other thing too, of course, every time we take a look at an attendance zone, we're also going to take a look at how that attendance zone impacts, the kids in that attendance zone impact the individual school. So if we take a look at Winona across the board, we can take a look at 24-25, how many classrooms are needed, what the average class size is, and we do that throughout the district. And just to make a point, right now, we just today received the rolled over, the updated enrollment. Basically, all we've been doing to set up the study at this point has been used the 24-25 enrollment. Today, we received and will begin to process the 25-26 enrollment, which will give us a far, at least an accurate or recent count of students in the schools, students in the zones. And so that process, as I said, we just got the data now. We do a data analysis and we reprocess the kids. And by the way, the arrows, just the pinpoints, are actually the students. The little dots are actually the physical addresses. Okay, so that the children in the district, when they geocode, it'll match to the map. They match to their actual residential address. So we have an accurate picture of where the students live with regard to the schools that they attend. Our next slide is status update. Okay, student data is gathered in the current schools boundaries. The student data that we gathered are now being processed. So we processed the 24-25. We're now processing the 25-26. We have developed the initial enrollment projections. We're not ready to present them yet because we want to also wait until we get the 25-26 beds enrollment. But we, from time to time, report back to the administration what the numbers look like. And then, as I said, we're doing analysis of the out-of-boundary students to see why these kids are living outside the zones. We'll be speaking with the Department of Special Services to get a handle on that, to make sure that we're locating those kids properly. And what's the remaining? Okay, remaining timeline. Okay, so we intend to have the enrollment and the initial school utilization analysis done by the end of August, on or before August 31st. What we want to do is we want to make sure going into September, we can hit the ground running with presentations to the board, presentations to the community. Okay, school site visits and revised school utilization tables will be established by September 30th. In fact, that's going to be a little bit sooner. On August 5th and August 7th, we're going to be doing a walkthrough of all the elementary schools. We'll do 5 on the 5th, and we're going to do 5 on the 7th. We will do based on that, an initial analysis of school utilization and proposed revisions for review with the administration, so that we know that if we say there are 20 classrooms in a classroom, 20 classrooms in a school, that there really are 20 classrooms. If they say that we need, it gives us a good chance to do our initial analysis, run it through for accuracy, and then apply it to the overall project. We tend to make a recommendation for any school closure, if we do, and the proposed boundaries by November, probably just before Thanksgiving. Let the district review it, let it make presentations out to the community, and then have a final report by the 15th of December. I think it's real, and these timelines are flexible. We're giving you the long dates. It could be shorter dates based on the quality of the data that we have, which is really quite good. So there could be shorter dates. We think, though, it's important that a final report be done before the end of this next school year, but the end of this actual year, the end of 25. Reason being is that if we recommend any changes and if the board accepts those changes, It gives plenty of time to do all the logistical things that need to be done when you change school boundaries or close the school. Things like transportation costs, transportation impact, and other things that you may need to get in place. It also gives parents who may be impacted by these changes time to make the adjustment. If we know what we're doing in January, February, it makes the transition for September 26th a whole lot easier and a whole lot smoother. And so that's an overall view. We think it's going really well. The data's been really good. We've got all the current boundaries done. We've got all the school locations done. We've got all the data tables prepared for in your own projections, demographics, and facility utilization. And so in terms of the timeline, in terms of meeting our goal, we really see, unless something cataclysmic happens, and we don't anticipate that, we see meeting our goals and getting it to the board by the time we say we're going to get it to the board. In the process, we will have a lot of questions that may be relevant to the data in the study. And I guess that's it. So if there are questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
I'll open it up to the board. Any questions? Meredith?
So Ross, those numbers that you were using were fictional numbers. Is that correct? Like when you said Winona has 226 students, you just made up those numbers, right?
I'm sorry, was there a question for me?
Yes, they were just asking if the numbers in your presentation were fictitious numbers just for the presentation, as far as like your Winona numbers were not accurate?
Yeah, yes, there is nothing in it. These are samples. We've made no conclusions. We're not processed the 25, 26 students. So this is, one of the difficulties in doing this is people say, that's it. No, it's just showing process. That's the actual Winona attendance zone that exists. But I would not swear that's the number of kids because we were a little more lax with, we J-coded we knew we weren't going to use the 24, 25 students for the project. But what we wanted to do was test the map. So we used the 24, 25 students to test the map. So all you're looking at here is our test. And I make it very clear, there are no numbers in this study no numbers in this presentation that represent anything except an example of how we process. Okay? We've made no conclusions. We've, there are even in this the 24, 25, because we didn't focus on it, except for verifying data. There's still a number of students who haven't been counted because we've got to correct address situations, misspellings. I don't, out of the 10,000 or so students in the district, I think there were probably about 300 mismatches. But again, we're using those just to verify addresses.
Okay, thank you. Hold on, we have some more questions from the board.
Dennis, do you have a
Okay,
question?
but did that clarify the question?
Yes.
It's probably more for you, Patty. So are we finding out what it costs to run each school, what the costs of each facility? So before they go and give a recommendation, maybe we give a recommendation of, hey, these schools cost a lot of money for us to run. We need new roofs. We need new windows. These would be the ones that if something was going to be closed before you go and give a suggestion of closing down, again, this is just for argument's sake, Winona, we would say to them, hey, if we had to close something down, that would be maybe one of the schools that cost us the most money. And we'd like to close that one down by moving everything else before we redistrict and then have to do it all over again.
So that would be information that Michelle would be able to have and get from Pasquale. And we'd be working with them to update that as part of this. Yes.
Mike?
I'm sorry again. Is there a question in that for me?
No, there's questions throughout the board. I will reiterate if there is one for you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have two questions for Russ. First, he only mentions elementary schools. So when he's done with his analysis, the feasibility portion, will that include the possibility of closing middle schools?
Through your analysis, did you hear the question?
I got that one. Yeah, yes, we are going to provide information of how the middle schools and how the high schools are affected. Obviously, if we change if we make changes in the elementary school zones, it's going to impact the other schools, the middle schools and the high schools. So yes, the question is they are absolutely part of the study. But the first part of the study, the critical part of the study are the elementary schools, because they're the ones that are going to generate future enrollment. So for example, if we've got one of your elementary schools that is on the border of one of the existing middle schools, and we change that elementary attendance zone so it overlaps into that middle school, it's going to impact that middle school. And whatever impacts one middle school will probably impact the other. So what I'm showing you here, so the high school attendance zones and the middle school attendance zones are in. Those students are also geocoded. So yes, the answer is yes. It's a comprehensive pre-K 12 study.
Okay, second.
And any changes, but the impact is going to be the greatest on the elementary schools, which will then filter up to the middle and the high schools.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Hold on one more.
Second question, Russ, in your enrollment projections, have you accounted for the high density housing that's going on in the district, particularly the one in Wisconsin is 55 and over, so that probably wouldn't yield many school age kids, but there's also one in Farmingville that's being currently constructed. Are you accounting for the projection that the children coming in that may not appear yet in the birth rate?
I got it. Okay, and it should have actually been in the slide itself. Not only do we take a look at the existing enrollment, but we also take a look at the location of any proposed new housing developments or any housing developments that may be under construction. Excuse me. And we get those from town, from township. They provide us with that information. We do it. We get a breakdown of the name of the development, the location of the development, the number of residential units in that development. If it's an apartment complex, the number of apartments. If it's a townhouse complex, the number of townhouses. We then also take a look at the bedroom count in an apartment house. How many studios? How many one bedroom? How many two bedroom? How many three bedroom? We also take in townhouses. How many two bedroom? How many three bedroom? If there is any large scale single home developments, we then take a look at bedroom counts for 3, 4, and 5 bedroom houses. So all of that, and then there's a formula. There are formulas that we use to determine in an apartment house, in a 2-bedroom apartment, what's the number of children that we can expect coming out of there. What's important is that if we find there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of developments, it doesn't mean hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of children. That's why we use different statistical measurements to estimate the number of children coming into those developments, and then we spread those numbers over the years. And also, if we've got one school or one particular school which is seeing heavy development, that's also going to make a difference in terms of how we approach the boundaries or how we approach, making a recommendation about closing the school. So yes, historical enrollment, live birth data, exists, proposed new housing developments based upon the type of development and the number of bedrooms goes into that projection. We also take a look. It's a little less impactful, but just a little bit. We take a look at housing turnover in the district too. Now, housing turnover.
Russ, I'm sorry. I'm going to just cut you off for a moment. Is there any
Any other questions from the board?
Just have a question. Yeah. Russ, are we going to be looking at grade configuration models within schools? So if the board decides that, hey, look, we want to look at a K through 6 model at the elementary school and a 7-8 model at the middle school, is that something that you're going to look at as well to see how we can best utilize the buildings? That's question number one. And then I have one other question.
Okay. Were you able to hear that at all?
I probably has something to do with transportation, but maybe you can rephrase.
No. I'm sorry. It was grade configuration models. Are you going to take a look at that as far as which grades are in which buildings? If it's, a K through 5, K through 6 model?
Yeah, I mentioned that a little earlier in the presentation that once we lay everything out, we look at different structures and we say, you know what, we may be able to balance these two schools by pairing them. So we may look at a K2, 3, 5. We may, so yes, we may look at a Princeton plan type of a modified Princeton plan if it's appropriate. And we will present those. We'll say, listen, here's structure 1. Here's what it looks like as K5. We think we think the district might benefit by a Princeton plan. And I don't know that yet because, and again, this is what gets, I don't want people, no one should take from this that we're doing a Princeton plan. Right now, we're doing data. And the data is going to drive what we do and what we recommend. And that's the best I can offer it at this point. We're very early in the process. We're in the data compile. We just only recently got a lot of the data. We haven't even walked the schools yet. So that's, but the luxury of doing this over the summer is that we can get into September and say, you're hitting the ground running. Hey guys, here's the data. Here's what we got. What do you think? What do we want to present? What feedback do we need to get from the community? What do we put on the website? So yes, the answer to that question is yes. We are looking at
Okay.
alternative.
We have one more question.
Yeah, second question is will you keep a running tally as to the number of kids that are being impacted with each proposed plan? In other words, if the school district is looking at Plan A, which is, I don't know, K-6 model, it's going to impact 2,000 students. But if we do a Princeton plan, it's going to impact 6,000 students. Is that something that you present when you present the different proposals?
Okay, so when you have your different proposals, are you going to have a running tally of the number of students affected per proposal?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I understand the question.
If you changed your grade configuration with your different proposals, so how many students would be affected, whether you go through a Princeton model or a K through whatever model?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what we do always is that we present who's impacted by the proposal. Okay, who's impacted by the study. So if you go back and you look, theoretically, people who aren't on the borders of any are kind of central around the school, any school, are generally people that don't make changes in a K-5. In a Princeton plan, it's this. Let me a very quick explanation. All a Princeton plan does, it takes it organized for K2, 3, 5. The kids are together all 5 years. They're just in two different locations.
Hey, Allison, just a quick question. So the answer
I'm
sounds
sorry,
like
hold
it's
on one
yes.
moment.
We will keep
Yes.
track of who's impacted, right?
Yes. Yes.
Mike, do you have a question? You good, Rob?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a question. Can we just go back 2 slides because I want to go back again.
Which one does he want?
Okay. So the way I see this is right now you're in the process of Russ putting together a as-is scenario where we are at right now with the current projections of incorporating the current year or 25, 26 kids, and you're going to tell us at some point the as-is condition, right? That's the first part. Here's
I summarize a little bit for me.
Just ask him, say, right now I see that the plan is he's taking the current enrollments and he's going to give us the as-is condition of our facilities utilization.
So
Yes.
right now, okay, you heard that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. I think though at some point
No,
once we got that,
I'm not.
Oh.
It's something about additive. I mean, so
Hold-
I'm not sure I understand. What we're going to do is we're going to build on the 25, 26 enrollment.
Russ, this is Mike Isernia from the school board. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you? Go ahead.
The question I had really was the way I see the process is right now you're taking the condition. You're going to look at the 25, 26 enrollment. You're going to profile that into our current buildings and give us an analysis of our current utilization, right? That's the first part of the plan. Okay, so that is the first part of the plan. Okay, so if I can, right, we have to know where we are. He just said exactly what I was saying. We have to know where we are. I'm going to tell you that as a board, though, we're going to have to provide some guidance of where we want to be. Okay, because is it just Russ, tell us the easiest way, least impactful kids to save $8 million, or is it Russ? Give us a plan that redistricts this whole district, utilize and prioritize optimization over the next 10 years, right? Based on the projections. So it's, we got to tell him what options we want to look at.
Yeah.
Right.
Great point, Mike, because my question was going to be, we have to take into account the feeder system, right? We've got feeder systems. And if we start messing with those, you can potentially have families sending students to 2 different areas of the district. So
Right.
to your point,
So I
we need
think
to
let
have
him,
these
he's doing the
discussions.
right thing. We need to know the as-is state right now, what we would look at this year. What are we going to look at? How are we going to be? What buildings are best utilized? What ones aren't best utilized? But we as a board are going to have to tell them, hey, look, we're going to bite the bullet and go for a complete redistricting that we're going to try to optimize utilization over the next 5 to 10 years. Or no, look, Russ, we just need to save $8 million next year. And you got to give us a way to do that. Right. I throw $8 million out because I know that's the number we talk about, but we need to save something. Right. So let him do what he's doing. You gave him the most recent projections, right? He needs to present to us. Maybe he needs to come here with some present. Here's your state. Here's where you're at right now, so that we can have this discussion of what we think we need to do as a district for the next 5 to 10 years, right? So,
Yeah, Mike, you raise a great point, because I don't want to get to December with a recommendation that we don't agree with. So we're going to have iterative conversations along the way. So the faster he can get us the data, we can start having those discussions. So
I heard him say, great, you guys are providing him everything he needs. He says he's got everything he needs right now. So we're only in July 23rd. So by the end of next month, we should know where we're at, right?
Yep. Jess?
Just a question, the algorithm that he's using, that he said is approved by the state, is that the only algorithm that is approved and recognized by the state, or are there other ways to look at the projection information that are evidence-based?
Only one that's being used as approved by the state?
It's the best school projection methodology that we work with. If we start taking in other kinds of things, it gets terribly confusing. Over a 5-year period, our average error on projections is about 1 to 3%. So we're real happy with that. Not real happy with that. That's actually really quite good. I'm not aware of any other effective school projection method. Business models don't work. They don't work because of migration of students. They don't work for a number of different kinds of reasons. So this is a universal enrollment projection model. We've done about 300 to 400 school districts over the years using this. So yeah, we're comfortable with this. We're comfortable with this methodology. We can call it an algorithm. I call it's a methodology, and it's statistically sound. It works. It applies across the board to what we want to do with regard to projections, demographics, utilization of school buildings, utilization of classroom counts. And if there's no other questions, I just want to make one final statement. I'm open to more questions, though.
What is the name of the method that you use?
Cohort survival.
Cohort survival.
Yeah, cohort survival.
Michelle?
And I think in proposal.
Okay, hold on one moment.
No, I just wanted to say, as Ross mentioned, he will be in district with his team on August 5th and August 7th. That's where they'll be walking each of our elementary schools. They're going to do 5 each day. They'll have their floor plans, and they'll be checking to see, the way the floor plans have the buildings laid out. How are the classrooms utilized? Do we have something as a classroom that's now being used as a multipurpose room, or things like that? Have things changed over the years so that he has eyes on each building? So as he said, you don't have art in one classroom and art in a cart at another building, because there is no art classroom that was taken over. So we're trying to keep that equity across the district. So that's the next steps.
Okay.
And we also have our board meeting August 6th, so he can be here in person.
Perfect.
Hopefully we'll speak with him,
Yeah.
since he's going to be in district anyway.
Can the board get a detailed timeline of all his dates? Can you guys send that to us, maybe in a Friday packet, with what his deliverables are and what date he's committing to? Because to Mike's point, I think we're going to have a lot of conversations in between. And then that'll coincide with.
It's very fluid, as
Yeah.
he was mentioning.
And
That's
I
fine.
was-
At least we have a rough estimate, and that'll coincide with the cost per building as well, right? So,
And I'll send the PowerPoint to everyone in the Friday
Perfect.
packet as well.
thank you. Okay. Any other questions for Ross? Okay. Thank you, Ross. I appreciate your time. Look forward to seeing you in person next time. Okay, Patty, anything else on the superintendent's report? Okay, thank you. All right, that takes us to our student board member report. Daniel, we're going to put you on the spot. You're running solo tonight, so why don't you just give us a quick update on yourself and maybe just do an intro. I know we haven't really gotten into it yet, but please jump in.
Hi, is this on? Yep. All right. Well, I've met most of you already, but my name's Danny Collins. I'm a volleyball player and a lacrosse player at Sachem North, and I'm going into my senior year. And I'm just really looking forward to this opportunity to get to be here with you guys. So thank you.
Enjoy your senior year. It's going to go by very fast. Coming
I
from a
know.
parent of a senior who just graduated, you blink your eye and it's over. So
Yeah.
enjoy it and welcome to the board.
The
Looking
first
forward to
three have
it.
already gone by so fast.
Yep.
So
Cool.
yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Okay. Takes us to approval of minutes for the July 1st meeting. Can I have a motion, please? Meredith by motion, second by Mike. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passed. Visitors, typically, Allison, do we have any visitors for this section? Okay, so typically this is a non-agenda item, so we typically go in the later section, but we'll call it Mr. Jerome Brennan now to speak.
You guys had him on the ropes. This question, how accurate is what he's proposing? He never gave you a number, 96% accurate, 45% accurate.
He did. He said he has a
So
1 to 3%.
Mr. Brennan, you've got 3
error.
minutes to make your
Okay.
public comments. It's not right, so you can just share with us what you like. If you're looking for
Absolutely.
any follow-up, you can just leave your
All
name
right,
with
listen, I'll
Allison.
just talk about,
Perfect.
you guys are building a new softball field. Could we get something for their championship put up there, like a banner or something? I'll pay for it. Or if you guys want to put something in the display case for all the years they won something,
We can
Can we
certainly
do
take a
something
look at
like
how that's
that, or-
funded.
I will speak with
Oh.
Mr. Bertel and Mr.
Yep.
Terragrasso in the morning, and they will speak with the coaches.
Perfect.
awesome.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. Okay. Yep, we've got another speaker, Mrs. Suzanne Eicher. Perfect.
Just a quick thing with the map. I don't know if that was an accurate map or not. I know Meredith asked and he said, it is data, but it's not data. But he was specifically saying, you look at these dots and you look at these hours. These are kids that go to our school. That is a house where a kid lives. That's a house where a kid is out of district. You can kind of identify who's special ed kids and their exact housing. So I would just be cautious of sharing maps like that in the public. To you guys, it completely makes sense. But if I can look at a map and I can figure out this kid goes to Grundy, he's supposed to go to Winona, I can kind of really 95% identify that that's a special ed kid household. And you just want to be cautious with sharing that with the public. That's it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. No other visitors. We'll continue on with the agenda. Item 4, business items, consent agenda A through G. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Mike, second by Sabrina. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Section 5, personnel, teachers, consent agenda A through L. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Rob, second by Mike. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Section 6, personnel, support staff, consent agenda A through F. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Rob, second by Mike. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Section 7, personnel administrators. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Mike, second by Sabrina. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Section 8, contracts, consent agenda A through N. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Mike, second by Sabrina. Questions, comments? Go ahead, Rob.
Just Pat, I know we talked about this item 8K that we're approving tonight. It's Misty Mountain Video. That's a cost of about $10,000 to videotape sporting events so that we could share with coaches. We got to try and come up with a process or some other method in which we can do that, where we're not spending $10,000 at East and $10,000 at North, $20,000. And then my concern is then having kids come here and begging for Model UN and begging for cheerleading and gymnastics. Years ago, there was always somebody on the roof, or on the top of the press box recording, and then those videos were shared, and it'd be a lot cheaper to do something like that. I know that it's on the agenda tonight, but moving forward, we gotta come up with a plan as to how we can save that money, so that we're not telling kids later on down the road that we can't run their club. That's my only comment.
Perfect. Thank you. Go ahead, Mary. Yep.
To follow up on that, if we could look into utilizing maybe our own students that are going into that field for their career, and maybe it's a win-win.
You want a motion to table it? Good.
I'd like a motion to table it and have a discussion about it.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
No, just
Just
8K.
Just that particular contract. Jessica seconds. Questions on that motion? Comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Mike's opposed. So one opposition. Motion's carried. So the motion to table the Misty Mountains contract. Okay. For further discussion, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So now you need a motion. A motion to approve contracts, agenda A through N.
Okay.
Exception of 8K.
Yep. So we need a motion to approve consent agenda, contracts, section 8, contracts A through M, with the exception of K. Can I have a motion, please? Motion, Rob, second by Meredith. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay. So we'll make sure we put that on an upcoming discussion item, I guess, to go into what.
I think once we get information, and we
Yeah.
could, if we have to put on the next agenda, we could put on the next agenda.
Okay.
Or
Yeah, can I just information about what's being recorded, how often it's being recorded, like the benefits of it?
Mhm.
If that's $20,000 that could be used to save either other sports or to save clubs and things like that. When we do have the huddle cameras, correct, to see the games and things like that.
Yes, so most of this, and I do have the scope of services that are being provided, how many games for each sport. This is a lot more for coaches to utilize and also for them to exchange tapes. So it's the huddle is more of the live camera, not so much they're utilizing because it's following the ball, basically, the play, where these are more, they can hone in on specific, areas that they're looking at. But
Right, I
would-
don't think we're against it. If we could just have more information, I'm not familiar with, what they're exactly doing as, what's the utilization of it. So if they
Sure.
could kind of put something
Yeah,
towards it
so we need
that
really
can-
the value. What are
value,
we
is
paying?
it
What
really
value are we
worth
getting
it?
out of it, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have the scope of sequences, 10 games for football, 10 for field hockey, 10 games for boys and girls soccer, 10 games for boys and girls basketball, 10 games for boys and girls lacrosse, and additional video is needed. So that's basically the scope, but I can definitely give you more specifics as to what the coaches are utilizing it for.
Meredith, did you have, and then Dennis?
And just so we're clear, no matter what, we have to do something because it's Section 11 rule, right? That each coach has to have video. It doesn't necessarily have to be a video company who does it, but we have to do some type of video and exchange with other coaches. It's not like our coaches are just kind of looking for
Got
this.
Dennis, and then Jess.
I know exactly. I was going to ask the same question because I know that they do, like for argument's sake, basketball, they do use the huddles and they exchange huddle cameras. They get logged in, they can get huddle, but she's right about, like field hockey or something, there is no video. So we have to exchange a certain amount. I think that's an agreement with Section 11 when they go into their coaches meeting that they'll exchange a certain amount and we all agree to pay our own videographer, same as them, and then they swap those films on certain sports. It's not all sports. It's only certain sports.
Jess?
Just a thought to leverage resources. There's not like a video club, photography club where we can allocate resources to students to be able to videotape it in-house without outsourcing. Just a thought.
Good, Mike.
Haven't been around. I thought the reason why we had this conversation, don't those videos have to have a certain quality if you're going to exchange them? There was something I remember that you couldn't use the kids because if the kids don't film something correctly, you're not providing the right. There was something, I'm going back to when there were other people on the school board that were very familiar with that.
It goes back to the fact I think we need to understand what's required, what's the value we're getting, and what's needed. And then I think if that can be presented to the board, we can make a more intelligent decision on that, right?
Yeah,
Rob?
look, I'm not opposed to it. I mean, I watched a lot of the huddle videos, and actually the quality of the cameras are very good. All of our stadiums have the huddle cameras. So something like field hockey, kids caught on huddle, the boys lacrosse, girls lacrosse, boys soccer, girls soccer, kids all caught on huddle, and the quality is pretty good. The question is, look, if we want to continue down this path, we want to build it into the athletic budget. In other words, if the budget for lacrosse is $5,000 for supplies, materials, and equipment. To record 10 games, it's $1,170. Do we want to reduce that budget, keep the budget the same, but allocate $1,170 in that budget so that team is, but in other words, back out a little bit and then put this in so that we're not increasing the cost to the district and taxpayer, by doing that. It's just, once again, something, looking at other things, I just don't want to have to tell a kid that we can't run their club, but we spent $20,000 on videotaping, because it's going to come. There's no question about it,
And just to comment, this is a budgeted item though, Michelle, right? We passed it last year, so it's in the budget for this year. But I think if we can get more information, there's some good points being raised. We just need to get a little more information.
And to comment on what Jessica said, one of the focuses that we're working on with Mr. Vaccaro and ARC this year is to utilize our students more, to get back to filming games, broadcasting games, and teaching them the skill of going into that. So that is certainly something we are looking into and making a goal this year to accomplish.
Okay. All right, any other questions, Meredith?
How often do we put this out for bid to multiple video companies?
It's very limited. We actually utilize two companies. It's Misty Mountain, and I can't remember the name of the other one. But it's very limited in who does it.
Or you're not going to get a cheaper company to come out. I mean, literally, Scott, he charges $117, and he could be at a football game for 3 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, to get somebody to come out for $117 to record a 3 hour, it'd be hard pressed to find somebody cheaper.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Takes us to section 9, donations, consent agenda A through D. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Mike, second by Dennis. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Allison, there's a few things out there. One is an anonymous donation for pretty significant. So whoever sent that anonymous donation for the Sagamore, I believe it's the sign for the middle school. Thank you very much. And if there's other thank you notes we can get out, that'd be great. Thank you. Section 10, Committee on Special Education, consent agenda A through B. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Rob, second by Meredith. Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Takes us to section 11, policies. We've got to approve a policy tonight. I just need to read a resolution before we do that. This is our updated telecommunications use acceptance policy, which really aligns to the governor's, for lack of a better word, cell phone ban. So let me go ahead and read this now, and then we can take the vote with a motion. So be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby approves and adopts policy 4526 as revised and in compliance with New York Education Law, Section 2803. So can I have a motion, please? Motion by Rob, second by Sabrina. Questions or comments? Mike?
What is that resolution exactly doing right now? Is it going to adopt this policy?
So we're adopting this policy, right, based on the deadline. I think that the state, normally we would do multiple readings of a policy.
But don't
right?
do we have to vote on suspending our second reading, or that's what this is doing, right?
No, the right now the district and the Board of Education have a practice of essentially having a first reading and a second reading. There's nothing codified in policy, so there's no requirement to suspend any policy. This is really just complying with the new education law, Section 2803, which has to be adopted by August 1st. The district thereafter has to provide and upload adoption of the policy in order to receive certain state funding. And if they don't do that by August 1st, they're not going to receive that state funding. So to answer your question, there's no policy adoption policy in place that you have to suspend in order to adopt this without a second reading.
Okay, but we do recognize it was a common practice to do two readings.
It's a
right?
practice, absolutely.
Okay. And how much money are we saving how much money will we receive by doing this on time?
$64,000.
Okay, so there's $64,000 at stake, right?
Yeah.
So
Meredith?
So I just want to make sure that people are aware that I speak for myself, but there may be people on this board that do not agree with anything that this governor's trying to put in place. Now, do I think that kids go crazy with their phones and that phones can be detrimental to children? Yes. But do I think that every child should be without their cell phone during the entire school day? No. Unfortunately, we have to adopt a policy or lose $64,000. And in the future, the policy committee can get together and make changes based on what the public says. But we just have to get this out there right now for the August 1st deadline, right?
Yes.
Ed, is that accurate? I mean, we can make changes to the policy at any time through our policy committee, but we do have to adhere to the law, right?
Yes, there's a new implemented and adopted education law, section 2803, which basically mirrors what we have now revised and incorporated into the policy. That is essentially the governor's ban. But, prospectively, to the extent the Board of Education wants to modify or revise the policy, they can. However, this is an exigent circumstance for the district because it faces the prospect of losing $64,000.
Right.
So that's why this school district and many other school districts are essentially taking this action prior to August 1st. Number one, a lot of other school districts are actually convening special meetings to get this done prior to August 1st. So
Right.
it's really, it's a requirement of law, number one. And number two, you face the prospect of losing funding if you don't act to comply and show compliance by August 1st.
Okay. Meredith?
Patty, can we just make sure that that law from the governor is on our website for every parent to read? Because they may not be able to figure out how to get on the government's website and read it. I just think that every parent should be able to read what's going on and then seeing how each of their school districts are handling this new law.
Great idea. Yep. Rob?
Just a quick question. When we submit this policy to the state, are we required to get approval from the Board of Regents? Is this something like the APPR where, they have to approve it and it's got to meet certain criteria, or once we submit it, it's automatically approved?
No, it's my understanding that it has to be uploaded and made available by August 1st on some type of state portal, correct?
Yeah, there's 2 questions that have to be asked, and it has to be uploaded. It's very simple process for this.
In other words, if they're not happy with what we're proposing, can they come back and say, we need you to modify it? We need more restricted or less restricted, or?
We're covering everything being asked right now by saying where things are going to be stored and how it's going to be handled. Ingerman certainly took a look at what the state was recommending and working off that, keeping it. We're still going to be taking a look at the practice of how it's going to be enforced. That is being worked on right now, but the policy itself is very generalized. So
There's no formal approval.
No.
Mike?
I don't know how anybody else feels, but I think once we adopt this tonight, we as a board should probably, in conjunction with Patty, put out a communication to the community that we just did this and why we did it, right? And that we're adhering to the law at the time so that they understand it right now. The way this policy reads, I mean, the crux of it is right there on page 12. The crux of it is your children will not have their cell phones in their possession during the school day from bell to bell, right? They'll be in their lockers until the end of the day. Or I guess the senior could put it in the car, I guess, right? If they're driving. But I think we need to make very clear to the community what we just did so that there's no surprises come September, right?
So my plan is to upload this tomorrow and send a letter out to the community letting them know basically the language directly from the governor, and then letting them know that further details will be coming as to how it's going to be implemented K to 12.
And we should tell them also that as a board, we're going to also consider what, as other options come up that are allowable, permissible, we should obviously consider those, right? That's part of the revisions of the policy at some point.
Yeah, I think we just have to be careful on how we approach that, but policies are always able to change based on, but we have to stay within the guidelines of the law, right, Ed? I mean,
100%.
yeah. So Dennis and then Meredith.
I got two things. First, it's so you're right about it is 7 through 12, I believe, in their locker. Everybody in elementary school, or 6 through 12, it'll be for us. But elementary school is not to bring a phone at all to school. But I do think that maybe if we could, when you put it on the website, if we could do something in a layman's way of just saying, hey, here it is, but here's the bullet points of, kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, you're not supposed to bring it to school. And 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, you're not supposed to have your phone with you or leave it in your locker. I mean, we're not patting kids down. Parents need to understand at this point, we're not patting kids down. We're not ripping through people's clothes and checking them. So at this point, because that's the other part of it, which is you can't suspend a kid at this point, correct? So
Correct.
There is some kind of, we have to figure out, I guess, of what is going to happen if someone crosses that line, because it's going to happen. We have.
So that is what is being worked on right now with administration, talking about very similar to like the ID policy, the practice that we have in place, and that'll come out. And that's why it's important that the schools communicate with their families as well. That's why I want to get something out tomorrow, and that will start the ball rolling because a lot of people are unaware of this change.
Parents play a role, right? So they need to be.
Yes, they do.
Well, my second thing though, quick, was I think some of the thing that this district has to, we all have to do a little better is this thing, we've been talking about this for 3 months and we're rolling it out 2 weeks quickly, just, and the answer is, hey, we got to roll this thing out quick and we got to hurry up and agree on it. And it's probably something, I don't know if the policy team had did you guys have meetings? I don't know. Was there meetings before this, once it was announced and we all knew this was coming? Maybe we should have had some of those meetings or we could start moving forward because not waiting until the parents come and do that. We should probably have a policy meeting, put it up now and start sitting down and trying to figure out, at least from the board. I know Patty's working with them and as far as how they're going to implement it, but it's going to be a community event.
Just
Meredith and Mike, but
I'm sorry, Dennis. Just I know you actually just started July 1st, but we had been told that we were expecting the governor to sign it until this was part of the whole budget process. That didn't happen until she actually signed it. But once she did sign it, Patty did tell us in executive session that I really can't say that. We were aware. We were aware that once the governor signed it, that they were developing a policy in conjunction with Ingram and Smith. So the policy committee didn't see it yet, but now the crux of it is that, you had 1 month. Basically, she signed it in May, right? And then we had till August 1st. So
No, they actually didn't develop the guidelines and the language until very late.
Yeah.
And I don't think the deadline was given to us till like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Of when we looked on it.
Meredith, did you have another?
So I know it's always very difficult to have correspondence with our governor. And I know that we've written letters before and they kind of go nowhere, but I would like for us to see if there's anything that we can do. I know, there are children in 5th grade and 6th grade, well, 5th grade more importantly, because elementary students aren't supposed to bring it to school at all. But there are children that take their bicycles to school and walk themselves to school in 5th grade, which is not unheard of. And in this day and age, that device for most parents identifies where their child is. So if that child, God forbid, does not make it to school and they didn't have their phone and they weren't able to call and their parent wasn't able to find them, that's on Kathy Hochul. And I need some type of, to say that elementary children can't even have it in their book bag. Now, I know that we're not checking book bags, so technically there's a gray area. But to say that children can't even bring it to school in elementary school is a very, very dangerous thing. If God forbid one of these kids takes their bike, we had a child that got hit by a car on a bike. They don't have their phone with them. That is really scary. So I would like to see if maybe we would write a letter to Kathy telling her the dangers of saying that you just can't have your phone on you when, that's really overstepping.
I know we did right.
So the guidelines from the state is not telling us that we can't, K-5 can't have the phones on them. That is our guideline based on our facilities because we are not using and purchasing the Yonder pouches. We don't have lockers available to students and we don't have cubbies. So in order for them to, where would they put it? Yes, some of them are going to have it in the backpack. We are not checking backpacks. We're not going through students' things. But because of our facilities and us not purchasing the Yonder pouches, that's why it was that K-5 shouldn't bring them to school.
Then I think we need to change that because that's dangerous. I mean, obviously kindergartners aren't running around with cell phones, but 5th graders is that gray area.
And it's not just the cell phone, it's the smartwatch, it's anything that can be connected to the internet other than their Chromebook. It's a big change.
I don't like that.
Rob?
I know I read when I read the policy and the law, there's exemptions that are allowed for situations like that, where we could actually exempt a kid based on certain. Well, there was actually a list of 5 or 6 of different exemptions.
I mean, walking to school's not an exemption. Being
No.
a walker, having parents at work, that's not an exemption.
Mm-hmm. Well, once you get to school, then you're not treated any different than any other student that rides a bus. They just don't want you to have it out
And I would welcome families to communicate and work with the building principals if there were certain situations and cases that needed to be addressed.
Jessica?
That was it. I just was saying that could be on the case, the bullet 5 on page 12, the case by case scenario, and that I think would be appropriate to allow it. So I think the more the public comes forward with these concerns, maybe you could be more elaborate. I think it's covered in that as the policy stands, but we could always elaborate if we needed.
And Mike, just the policy committee's meeting at the end of this month, right, to kick that off? So, okay. Any other questions, Sabrina?
And just when did we find out about the extra funding that was tied to it? That was only a couple weeks ago, too. So that's something why feels rushed.
Yes.
But I know every district, like you said, is trying to
Scrambling.
get their meeting because 64,000, good money.
It's a lot of clubs. Yep. Okay. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Monthly reports. I don't suspect we have any updates, but Mike, go ahead.
Well, actually, I had mentioned that the policy committee is scheduled to meet on the 29th, right, with Mary Ann. So we're working on, obviously, this policy will come up, of course. Also, the policy regarding the closing of facilities will be discussed. Draft proposals are presented to the policy committee.
And for the board, that's policy 7800 with some modifications based on how we're approaching the demographic study. Okay.
So
Meredith?
we'll report out after that.
Yep. Perfect. Thanks, Mike. Meredith?
So I was on the policy committee, but now I'm not. So am I supposed to attend that meeting? Who's on the policy committee now instead of me?
So policy committee is Mike, Sabrina, and Matt Bauman.
Okay.
I thought, Rob, didn't you? Rob added his name on too.
So Rob, okay, we can add Rob. That makes 4. What? Yep.
Yeah, so I'm not going to attend that meeting, but the new policy meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, the
people are.
29th at 6 o'clock.
It's a
Allison,
Zoom
we just
meeting.
update the list and put Rob on the policy committee?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. And just how are we tracking with the community applications for committees?
So I put them together at the moment. The application period's still open through the 15th.
Mhm.
We have 46 applicants so far. So I kind of put this together for you guys to review as far as color coded what committee they applied
Great.
for. So
Perfect.
it's moving along.
Excellent. Great. Thanks. Okay. All right. Closing comments. Any visitors? Nope. Okay. Old business. Any old business, Patty? We're keeping the demographer on there just for tracking purposes.
Just one question, old
Yeah,
business.
go ahead, Rob.
I don't know if I missed it, and I do read the packets, but the cell phone tower walkthrough, company was supposed to do a walkthrough and then propose back. Have we heard anything from them at all?
We have not heard from them, and Ingerman is preparing something for you to take a look at as well, because it's not just a simple process. So Ed is already working on that.
And then the second question is, at some point we have to have a conversation about possible RFP to open it up to other companies to see where we're going to get the best, return for our.
Sure. I think after Ed
we see
presents
it's-
to you all the information and all the steps necessary, that would be
So we can
certainly a
add that
conversation.
to future, so it doesn't fall off the radar.
Ed, when do we expect to get the briefing from Ingerman on that?
Prior to August 6th, the next
Okay.
meeting.
All right. So we'll have that and then we can go from there. Okay. Great. Sabrina?
And just, Patty, went, the presentation of the portrait of the graduate, because I know New York State just finalized
Yes, they
that,
did.
and then all our new graduation requirements that are coming. Will there, do you have a date of when we can do a presentation on all of that?
Would you like it done in the summer or when school begins?
When it's when it's best for your offices. I don't want to bombard people if they're busy getting ready for September. But I think it's something that the community should
They
be
need to
aware
see.
of. They need to
Mhm.
see what's changing, because there are things that I hear people saying like, "Oh, this is completely going away," and it's not. So I just think there needs to be some type of information put out there, because everybody's like, "Oh, why do regents matter? They're disappearing." They're not. So just to put presentations out there so the community understands, especially the new cohort, because I think they're in 8th grade right now. That will be right. That 8th grade group is going to be the ones that are going to have the completely new kind of.
When I spoke to Dr. Miller about that, we were looking more into September, thinking
That's
that
fine.
we'd have more people at the board meetings
That
and
makes
more people attending. I know Mr. Lawson just shared with me, there's about 16 people watching right now,
Yeah.
17. So we're hoping for more attendance because that is a very important thing. And then Dr. Miller also is willing to do like a nighttime presentation. So that could be more interactive.
Okay. Thank you. Awesome.
Okay, great. Okay, which takes us to board discussion items. I know we've got one on the agenda tonight about polling place discussion. So Patty, if I'll turn that up to you.
Sure. Mrs. Florio and I were speaking about, we're trying to take a look as a cabinet as where we could be more efficient, where we can save money, down to where we're storing paper, if we're having mass deliveries over if it's going to be building by building. So one of the topics that came up was our polling locations, and we found out, and I'll let Ms. Florio speak on it more, but when we had the second vote last year, having it here, the cost savings would be over $40,000, correct?
Yes, that's correct. So I know that we have touched on this before, but many of districts throughout Long Island have been moving to one central polling location, just as obviously the cost savings of it. We had put together some numbers. It's roughly $48,000 in savings to move to one central location. Apart from many other benefits of having that, the majority of larger districts such as ours, so Longwood, Three Village, things like that, are drastically reducing their polling locations to one or two central locations for many reasons, most importantly, the cost savings, but also security factors. We don't always want to alarm everyone, but there's definitely things that come into play with having children in the building. School is in session on school vote day. It's not like election day where schools are out. So there are people freely coming into the building. It is part of the voting law that we cannot lock those front doors. You cannot, have any type of barriers to people coming in to vote. So it definitely is a security concern. Having our 10 polling locations in our elementary schools, I don't know if people out there realize it's 55 election workers that we have to hire. This year alone, this past May, we had 8 cancellations the morning of. So it was a logistical nightmare, to be very honest. So I don't know if anyone had, votes over at Winona. We had these amazing students who were able to fill in at the very last minute. And it was, a great, thankfully, saving grace having them there. But we run into this often. Our staff that we normally use from year to year is dwindling down. They're no longer doing it. The county is having issues staffing election workers as well. So that is why all of the districts are kind of narrowing down. It's kind of been guidance from the county. So we wanted to propose that to you just to take a look at it. We do have the cost savings. It's less money in election workers. It's less money in security. It is less in ballot printing because we have our 10 locations. The minimum ballots that we can order per location is 1,000. So we are roughly ordering 10,000 ballots each year and not using anywhere near that for our voting. So, but the minimum I can order is 1,000 per location. So it really is a cost savings if we're able to reduce that down a little bit, similar to what we did last year during that second vote.
Great, thank you, Allison. I'll open it up to the board. Sabrina?
There are school districts that have done that, have lessened their number of locations.
Yes.
Do we have the numbers of what the number of people that voted in the election when they maybe had 10 polling places versus when they moved to 1 or 2? Was there an increase, decrease?
It
Stay the
has.
same?
They have not seen a decrease or increase in the voting. The trend tends to be what is on the ballot that year. So if it is a contentious election, if there is a proposition that's out there, it's really the ballot that is going to drive the people out to vote.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Meredith?
For anybody who may have not known what we did, can you just walk us really quickly through? I thought it went really well. I actually love the idea of doing it centralized. One, because there's no confusion as to where you go.
Right.
Because where I live for a regular election, I actually vote in Bohemia.
Yeah.
And then for a school election, I go to Grundy.
Yeah.
So it takes the confusion out, but also if you could just walk through real quick for the people who didn't
Sure.
participate.
Yeah, you're not alone in that. I am the same situation where I vote for our general elections in one location, my school election in a different. And it doesn't also help that the Board of Elections sends those reminder to vote cards for the primaries in June out just before our school budget vote. So it confuses everyone. But last year for our revote, we did have the one central location here. We utilized this boardroom and also conference room A across the hall. We had our security staff outside where there was ample parking for everyone to come. It's one location. You can come either within this room or the room next door. You didn't have to worry about, which table do I go to? It's just one. You can visit any of the workers that were there. We utilized our clerical staff at the time, which was also a huge benefit. We didn't have to worry about the county workers and their availability. And everyone commented, how quickly it was in and out. It's just an easier flow if there is an issue with somebody not being on the polls or having a question, or I was right there to answer it versus, calling me on the phone and I have to hop in my car and security's running over there. It's a little chaotic on vote day.
Good, Mike.
We're really a big district. I'm a little, if you had said to me, maybe we're going to move into the 3 middle schools and people would go to the middle school they feed to, I might be a little more comfortable rather than just one centralized location. I mean, you could travel quite a distance to get here for some people. I don't know if that would be looked upon as being, we're trying to limit access to voting and stuff like that. So I guess we have to really discuss this.
When do we need to make a decision on something like this?
I would recommend by December to make that final decision. That way we have time to put everything in place, because I really start the process of the ordering and the hiring in January for our May vote. So it would need to be done by then. I mean, we can certainly put together numbers as far as having the 3 middle school locations as, an option, or the 2 high schools. It is definitely even that much better than having just the 10. We are by far the only district that has 10. The max at the moment for other districts is 4.
Yeah, Alice, if you could put those options together for us, and then we'll keep this discussion. If we want to just track this as well and maybe get it for old business. Right?
Sure.
Rob?
Allison, what does Brentwood do? I mean, they have a lot of buildings.
They, I believe, use 3 locations.
3 locations.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree with Mike. I mean, I think you have to have the locations in relatively close proximity to people's homes, because, look, I got to be honest with you. I mean, if I got to travel 7 miles from my house to Sitcham East, on a busy night, family member might say, I'm not driving 7 miles to vote. But they'd be willing to drive a couple miles up the road to maybe Seneca, So yeah, I agree with Mike. I think we need to look at maybe, not spacing it out so much to where you kind of deter people from taking that trip. I know we've had this conversation in the past, and
we did put together a 5-year voter average. For our 5-year voter average with our 10 locations was 3,800 voters. And then when we did have that one central vote, it was 4,800 came out. So people were coming out, I understand. But like I said before, I believe it is like the ballot.
That was based on what was on the ballot, right?
Yeah, it's
So-
the ballot bringing
that was
people
a
out.
revote.
That was the
Yes.
revote.
Mhm.
It was a passionate voting cycle
Right.
for us.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Okay, Meredith, go ahead.
So I do live at the southernmost part of this district, and my children went to North. So really a 15 to 20 minute drive for me. And when I came here to vote, 15 minutes. And so I get that. But I also think that if we start, maybe if it is the 2 high schools and we start really getting into that people are going to get used to it. It's kind of like there's a lot of things in this district that we do because we've always done them, but maybe they're not the best, most money conscious way to do them. And we say, oh, we feel bad, this one, that one. I think we have to start like really ripping Band-Aids off that are going to save us money. Maybe they're a little inconvenient for people like me that live so far, but I will get used to it. My neighbors will get used to it. And we also do have absentee ballots, right? Like people can always vote no matter, like you don't have to have a reason to be an absentee, correct?
There's absentee ballots. There's a sick and disabled voter list that if you do have issues getting out to the polls, you can register yourself as a sick and disabled voter through the county and you will automatically receive a ballot. I will mail that out to you. We mail out about 900 of those. But there also is early voting. So it's just as if you have the general or primary for a school district, you can do early voting. So there's a time period that it's open beforehand that you're welcome to come to my office at your convenience and participate in that.
I think one of the things that we should do is maybe have a little presentation at one of the board meetings. First of all, how to become a poll worker, because I don't think a lot of people know about that. And maybe that's why, the greatest generation is the ones that are starting to dwindle. But I think like if like I don't know how to become a poll worker, maybe I should, maybe something like that, a quick lesson for everybody, and then a quick lesson on how to vote early. I didn't even know personally that there was early voting for a school election. So if we could get a quick presentation at a maybe September board meeting when people really are paying more attention, and then that might help educate everybody.
Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say maybe the options maybe Allison should lay out is like, what we're doing right now, 3 middle schools, 2 high schools, and then have the administration talk about the logistics of, because I thought about the 2 high schools too. And I said, they're pretty busy at night. There's a lot going on during the day there too, much more than middle school. So maybe we don't want to have people converging on those 2 buildings. I don't know. That would be an
Yeah,
administration.
if we can get some options,
Yeah.
and then
Sure.
we should probably have an open session and share it and have that discussion at a future
Yeah.
meeting.
I also wasn't aware that you can't lock the front doors on election day.
Yes.
That is, I don't think a lot of parents in this district were aware of that.
Mhm.
And I think if you present that to people, they're going to realize that
Yes.
if you can't lock the front doors all day
Mhm.
on election day, that's pretty, well,
Yeah,
on school board election
And-
day, that's scary.
I just want to clarify on that. Most of our voting at the elementary schools is done in the multipurpose room.
Mhm.
So that door is unlocked. The
Yes.
main doors
Mhm.
are locked.
Right.
But
Okay, 'cause
we do have one building
Okay.
that they have to enter through the front door. And that's when we have additional security there because those
Right.
doors can't be locked.
Yeah, we
But
still had a
most-
security guard
yes.
in each building, each polling location. And like Ms. Trombetta was saying, all of the buildings, with the exception of one, the voting was in the multipurpose room. So the voting was contained to that room. However, in our other location, it was, walking past the cafeteria, which was not, great.
Great. Any other comments? Okay, takes us to future items for discussion. I think we've got the graduation requirements. That was one of them. The polling place is another one. Anything else for future discussion items? Okay. All right. At this point, we'll make a motion to enter into exec session for the purpose of discussing litigation. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Rob, second by Mike. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Good night, everybody.